This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store and William Hill. Delighted today to be joined with Chev Clarke. Only about 10 days away now. Fight soon coming. David Jamieson. How are we, mate? How's things been?
Very well, mate. How about yourself?
I'm all good, man. I'm all good. I was sort of first on touch on. What's the camp been like for you? I know it's a typical question that you always get. I saw you sort of sparring with Johnny Fisher. How has it been for you in comparison to, the other ones that you've had?
It's just a normal camp, hard, grueling, and just doing what's necessary to overcome what's in front of us. Variety of sparring, but good stuff. That will put me in good stead for what's coming. You know.
What what was it like sparring Johnny? How was that sort of training with him and different to what you usually are?
Yeah, it was cool. He utilizes what he has very well. He's obviously strong. He's a heavyweight. And like obviously you don't want to give out information
Yeah, of
on people,
course, of
but it
course,
was
yeah,
good
yeah,
sparring, man. Good sparring.
yeah, 100%. And early in your sort of pro career now, but your sort of pedigree is a long sort of list of you've been a great amateur and you have a lot of sort of heavily experienced as an amateur. But since you turned over pro, is it good to sort of early on getting big challenges, sort of only sort of less than under 10 fights in?
Yeah, it's good. I'm just moving at the pace that I like. Do you know what I mean? And that's suitable for, as you said, the pedigree I've got. I felt I've done okay so far. People seeing glimpses of what I can do, and come June 10th, they'll see a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Do you feel like you want to move at a fast pace, considering that you've been to the Olympics, you've had a big amateur pedigree? Do you feel like you want to be moving as fast as you possibly can?
What's a fast pace?
Well, like I see, look at now, like if you win this, you're sort of in line for a British title where sort of under 10 fights, not many people would sort of fight for a British title under 10 fights. So I would consider that a fast pace if you'd ask me.
Well, I look at myself as a one of one. I'm not like nobody else, so I do things my way, and I've always been like that since young. So I'm just moving at my pace. I stay in my own lane.
Yeah, fair enough. What would you say, since you've turned over pro now, being sort of under Matchroom, what have you learned since sort of turning pro? And how do you compare it to sort of like an amateur career, would you say?
What I've learned. Hmm. Boxing's a business. That's what I've learned. People say it's a slower pace. I haven't really experienced that as such. But I'm enjoying the game and just how the crowd can sway people. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
yeah, more that kind of thing, and just
yeah.
understanding the business side of things. You know what I mean?
So, yeah, 100. And when you say sort of the crowd swaying people, do you mean like fans in a way, people's opinions? What would you sort of mean by that?
Yeah, just like for example, when I'm in the stadium, not particularly when I'm fighting, but like you can see how when like a big crowd is behind certain
Yeah,
fighters, like it kind of G's them up. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Not all fighters are like that, but that's one thing I have noticed.
And would you say like when you see the crowd and you hear the crowd cheering, when you stop these guys and you see everyone get behind you when when you're putting it on them, is that something that sort of motivates you a lot more when does that sort of G you up as you said?
Obviously, it's great to have a great crowd behind you. Like I got my guys that support me, as he says, Team C4 on there. So
Yeah.
you see those guys out there, June 10th, loud and proud. So yeah, man, it's good to have a great um support network behind you. You know what I mean? And I think my people's done a good job so far. You know what I mean? And people that don't know Chev or haven't heard of Chev as yet, um, as I fight and June 10th, they'll see a little bit more and they'll be okay. That's what the fuss is about.
And how important is, like you said there, about having a team behind you, turning over pro, where you might see things that are sort of new to you, especially on a business side, but you've got guys around you where they can guide you in a certain way where you know where sort of the path that you're going, if that makes sense.
Break that question down again for me, please.
So that's not a problem at all. So I'm saying, how important is it to have a team around you where when you turn pro, you've got a lot of confusing things and things that you might not have seen before, but you've got guys that are experienced and know how to deal with these situations when it comes about, and you can sort of go to them for advice.
Yeah, of course. It's boxing's a single person sport, but as you said, now it's a business, so you have to have a good team around you, experienced people around you, ask loads of questions, and any gray areas that you're not sure about, find the information, be clear about it, and then make your decision from there.
Yeah, 100. And you said there about the pace of turnover pro. You said you don't really feel like it's been at a slower pace, but is it a bit of a weird one where in the amateurs you're getting consistent dates, but this time it's not as consistent. You have to wait. Is that sort of a frustrating thing for you, for someone that you just want to be out there and fighting?
I think it's a little bit different. You have to remember, like, as an amateur, in Olympic boxing, sometimes you wouldn't box for like 2-3 months. But when you do box, you'd box like 3 or 4 times in a week or over the weekend. Do you know what I mean? So that's the difference. But in terms of waiting, not really. It's just the pace. I'm sorry, the amount of times you box in a short space of time would be a little bit different.
Do you feel like you had to alter sort of your training a lot to turn over to a pro style?
Not really. No.
No, that's fair
I've
enough.
always I've always kind of had the style that I'm using now. And people has always said, "Oh, your style suits being a pro." So maybe they were right.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk sort of about the cruiserweight division as a whole. This weekend just gone, we've just seen sort of Lawrence Okoli fight Chris Smith domestically, on the world level. When you're coming up as a cruiserweight now, in line to fight for a British title, do you look at sort of the guys at the top and think like, that obviously I want to be there one day, but it's good that domestically throughout a cruiserweight division it's thriving, especially in the UK.
First of all, I think like I'm I'm the same level as those guys. I can be in the mix if I want to be in the mix. I don't see them as any better than me. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, it's good because right now overall the British cruiserweight division is like the most exciting division, I'd say, really. Do you know what I mean? And the fights are getting made, so I can only imagine how excited the fans are.
And yeah, I know. I look at it from my fans' point of view. Seeing the cruiserweights coming through now, yourself and the guys at the top. It's an exciting division to be a part of, and you must see guys like not only just the guys at the top, but Lawal, Chamberlain, guys like that. There, one day, like well, not one day, but I mean very soon, that you'll be sharing the ring with all of them.
Yeah, most definitely.
When you sort of, and obviously Chris Smith, who's a world champion now, he's someone that you box as an amateur. Could you sort of believe that when you sort of beat him in the amateurs that he'd end up being a world champion one day?
No, because I never even looked at, oh, I'm gonna be a professional one day. It was just kind of just taking it as I went and just enjoying the process. But now we're here, and congratulations to him. You know what I mean? Hard work and dedication. That's what it's led to for him. So
Definitely.
you know what I mean?
And then
Enjoy it
obviously, yeah, absolutely. And obviously another fight it was meant to be on that card, but it got pushed back. Was Mikhail Lawal versus Isaac Chamberlain. You're sitting there in line waiting a shot. Are you going to keep a sort of close eye on that fight eventually when they do fight each other, that you're looking at a potential opponent for you?
Yeah, I'm sure whoever the winner is, when I win, I will have to fight at some point. So yeah, something we'll be looking at. But as for now, I'm just concentrating on what I've got to do to make sure that I do have the opportunity to fight one of those guys.
If you would sort of make a prediction or put a pound on it, who would you sort of bet between the two?
I don't bet.
Okay,
I
fair
bet
enough.
myself.
That's fair enough. Well, obviously you'll be betting on yourself come June the 10th. Just sort of as a sort of close this off, what happens when you fight David Jamieson on the 10th of June?
Chev does what Chev does, man. The C4 comes into action, and it's going to be explosive. It's going to be entertaining, and I don't need to say much more than that.
100%. Chev Clarke, just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to speak to me. I appreciate it. And yeah, all the best for June 10th.
Thank you very much, mate.
Thank you.